No, kedves kilencedikesek, a tanév utolsó témája Mátyás király, Mátyás az igazságos, akivel kapcsolatban egy uralkodói portrét fogok bemutatni nektek. Ezt a prezit két részre fogom osztani, két videóra. Beszélni fogok sok témáról, először a családjáról, melybe kis ismétlés is lesz, hogyan lett király, hogyan ragadja magához a hatalmat, és milyen bevételeket tud produkálni. Beszélni fogunk, hogy mi mindenre költi ezt a hatalmas bevételét, és hogy ezt nem tudja végül is örökíteni, milyen gondja lesz az örökséggel, ugye a trónutódlással, és végül a legendákról, amelyek övezik őt. So, ladies and gents, King Matthias, Hunyadi, who is often said to be the king Matthias the Just. He was king of Hungary between 1458 and 1490. First of all, we should know that he is from a very rich family, from the Hunyadi family, which is originated in Wallachia, Havasalföld, as we talked about last time. Hunyadi János was his father, the famous Turk beater, who was a great military leader of Sigismund of Luxembourg. He knew the Hussite warfare, a huszita harcmodort, and he defended Nándorfehérvár. He was also governor of Hungary and of course great landowner. What about the mother? Mother was Szilágyi Erzsébet. Actually, this means that Szilágyi Mihály was the uncle of Mátyás, who defended Nándorfehérvár with Hunyadi János. He also had a brother, Hunyadi László. Mátyás was the younger brother, László was the older one, the elder brother, who was the official heir of the Hunyadi great lands, but he was murdered after Nándorfehérvár victory, and Matthias was taken to prison. I'm going to speak about it later. He got perfect education. Matthias, he spoke foreign languages, Latin, Italian, French, and maybe others as well. His tutor was Vitéz János, important to remember his name. He was a humanist, so he knew everything about humanism and the Renaissance arts. So Matthias is our Renaissance king. He also helped his father as a son, as a young boy, with correspondence, changing letters on different languages. So he learned a lot about diplomacy when he was a little boy. So this is the family. He had a great reputation. And now let's see how he became king. Well, during the time of Nándorfehérvár battle, it was Ladislas V who was the king of Hungary, and he executed Matthias's brother László. It was a fight between the baronial leagues, and Matthias was taken as prisoner to Prague, but unexpectedly the king died in Prague, so the country, Hungary, was without a king. In Prague, Matthias was kept by George Podjebrad, and he forced to marry his daughter, Catherine. So this is why Catherine Podjebrad was his first wife. This wasn't a successful marriage. They didn't love each other. Catherine died soon. But what happened to this young boy? The baronial league started negotiations, and they had different interests. The Cillei-Garai League, as I told you last time, and the Hunyadi League. And finally they agreed, that Matthias would be the next king of Hungary. He is young, hopefully easy to influence, so the barons would be able to keep their power. So finally there was an agreement that in 1458 he was crowned to be king of Hungary on the ice of the Danube on the 24th of January. It's not an important date to remember, just this one, 1458. So we have a new king, very young, actually really educated, but he started to rule with a strong hand. So he was young but strict at the same time and confident. He knew what he wanted. He put aside all the enemies and anyone who was against his will. Even Szilágyi Mihály, his uncle, was sent to the southern part of Hungary fighting the Turks, and he died there. So the king became a strong one. They couldn't influence him. Decided on his own. He reigned like an absolutistic ruler. This was not pure absolutism. We are going to speak about that next year, what absolutism was, but absolutistic. So he was very confident and decided alone. Strengthened the rights of nobles, so the lower, lesser nobles. This is how he got loyalty from them. He put his people in positions, even lower layer people. New baron families he raised, for example, Szapolyai family and Báthori family became barons this time. Earlier they had been just nobles, but now they became barons. It was also important to have the Holy Crown in Hungary, so he spent 80,000 forints, golden forints, to buy it back from the Holy Roman Emperor Frederick III. So he got back the crown from him in 1463, while the Holy Crown was taken to Vienna by the mother of the previous king. It was a quite difficult period of Hungary at that time. We don't have to go into details. Sorry. So we have a strong-handed king. Let's go to see what happened in royal administration. He reformed administration. He employed experts, so educated people. Of course, he could read and write. He understood politics. And even civilian people or serf origin people who were talented, they were put into positions. So this loyal administrator layer helped him. He also reformed the chancellery and centralized and controlled over all the offices. In this picture, you see that he was the center. He decided about the chamber, the money matters, and chancellery administration. All the barons and the palatine were under him, and the diet with the nobles and barons and so the estates, as I told you last time. So he decided, and this was the execution. They did what they had to do. We should remember that because of his way of leading, his absolutistic, very strict leadership, a conspiracy was formed against him. The closest circle of Matthias was involved, even the humanists who believed in him earlier. So the conspiracy was, of course, it failed. So those who took part were punished and fled from the country. But from that time, Matthias became introvert and he never trusted anyone again. Of course, he was very successful in his reign, but he needed a lot of money for that. So we have to speak about the incomes. Well, there was growing population in the country, so he could collect more and more taxes. Unfortunately, the mines, which were full of noble ores and precious metals during the time of Charles Robert, these were running out, so he couldn't mine new, precious metals. So most of his income came from the taxes of the serfs. Of course, it's only the serfs who pay taxes in the country, but he made some reforms in taxation. Charles Robert's gate tax was transformed into smoke tax, füstpénz, füstadó. He was paid not by every plot, but by every household, because where you have a chimney, there is a family, so families had to pay it. The 30th tariff was raised and became royal tariff, koronavámot hozott létre 30 vámból. But his greatest income was war tax. We also call it extraordinary war tax, rendkívüli hadiadó. Actually, sometimes he collected this twice a year. It was 1 forint for a family, and that was a great money at that time. You remember a golden forint. So a huge income was collected by him. It could reach the 750,000 forints, which was a huge amount of money at that time compared to the Western European countries like England or France. But this is interesting that the Sultan of the Ottoman Turkish Empire, our greatest enemy in the following centuries, they already collected 1.8 million forints, so actually they had much bigger income. This also helps us imagine how his incomes were about. As you see, the extraordinary war tax, rendkívüli hadiadó, was the greatest income of all. But he also collected the koronavám, as I told you, from the traders, and he got a lot of income from the Saxon towns. So it was a great income, and he had great income from the salt, as you see, and of course other mining stuff. This was the money of Matthias. I told you the füstpénz, koronavám, rendkívüli adóadó. Okay, that's it. I think this is all what you should know about his incomes. Akkor az első résznek itt legyen vége, és folytatjuk a második részben a költségekkel.